So next thing what I'm going to do for my shark guy is UVs. Before we go into the UVs, I want to delete history of the object because Retopo creates lots of history and it makes our Maya or scene run slower. I want to delete by type history while my object is selected on object mode. And now I'm changing the workspace to the UV editing. And I have my 2D view on right and 3D view on left. So as you can see, my UV is not very nice laid out. First thing what I want to do is the projection of my character, so I get good starting point. And while my shark guy is selected on object mode, I come on top of my toolkit and select here camera based method for projection creation. And now I have clean projection. And the first thing what I want to separate or first thing wherefrom I want to create a shell is the head of the shark. I have my symmetry turned on because in this case symmetry works nicely when we are selecting and not creating anything. So world X for me is the axis, and then I'm going to change my selection method to be edge, and I'm just checking out where from should I cut. So I think I will create seam around the head which starts on top of this shark's fin. Like this, and goes all the way around, and symmetry works nicely because we have mirrored our model, so it's completely symmetrical and there is no no part what is not symmetrical. Then again to my modeling toolkit and cut tool, and now we can see that those edges are now bolded, what we selected just a second ago, and that means that there is a seam. And basically the seam means that if I come here to the 2D view and press my mouse's right down on top of my mesh and select the UV selection method, then double clicking the head and W to get transformation tool, I can separate the head from the body. And now I'm going to click the body. It's selected and I'm going to move it here to the left, and I'm leaving only the head or only the geo here what I'm currently unwrapping to the texture area, which is 1 by 1. This is just my personal preference, how I like to work. And the thing what I want to do for the head is few more seams, and I have to actually separate the inside of the mouth from the head, because it will unwrap more nicely when I do it. So I'm pressing my mouse's right on top of the head and selecting the edge, and then I'm going around the inner mouth of my shark guy. There. That edge, and that edge. And then creating a cut. And then UVs on the 2D view double clicking the head and moving it like this. And now we can already actually try to unwrap these both. So I come here to the unfold section of my UV toolkit, and the head, with head selected, I'm pressing unfold and it unfolds my shark's head. And then unfolding, double clicking the inner mouth and unfolding it like this. And if I select the head, there is this one icon up here which says UV distortion. If I turn that on, I can see areas where it's stretching. So that's highlighted blue. And then, as the info box says us, the red on the mesh is that those areas are too compressed. The white is the neutral area. So basically, if we look at this, we have only stretched and compressed areas, no nice areas. So we have to do a few more seams so we can release the density and make stretching to be smaller on our model. And I'm turning this is very useful tool, this UV distortion. So I'm turning it off. And the thing where I want to create the seam is probably down here under the throat and under the chin of my shark guy. So if I make a seam here which goes all the way to the mouth of my shark guy, so I can basically now open the head of the shark guy. And if I create a cut from the UV toolkit here, and as you can see, the edges are connected from the seam to seam, which means when I'm now unfolding this, selecting UVs and unfold, it will unfold like this. And if we are now looking the stretching, we can see that these outer areas are more light blue, which is good, and there is more white areas. This is maybe bit dense still, the head here. So one thing what we can try is to make another seam here, so we can release the these edges here, so they won't be as stretchy, and then these are not super compressed here if we make another seam back here. So I'm again on edge selection, and then I'm creating one seam here, maybe that far, and then cut again, going to the UV selection mode by pressing mouse's right on top of my mesh, double clicking the head, unfold again, and now let's see if that helps us a bit. Okay, it releases the density, or it releases the stretching here. So now everything is kind of lighter blue and lighter red. The aim is not to make everything perfectly white. It's that we need these areas only be a little bit lighter, so the texture won't be then distort it too much. And then I'm just double clicking the head, pressing R, rotating this. And I want to scale my head to be around 1/4 of my texture space. So here I can see for 0.5 and 0.5. This is good sized head because I want to give more texture space to my head so I can put more detail to my head, because the head is the part what we are going to see most of our character. And it's kind of also where what we look first if our character is, for example, animation character or game character. The head is what we are looking for, not the legs, not the tail. So that's why it's important that there is most of detail research for that. Okay, going on. The next thing what I'm going to unwrap is the torso. So I'm basically creating seams that will cut off the arms and the legs and the tail of our shark. So going into the edge selection, symmetry is still on, and the next seam what I'm going to look for is some seam that goes around the arm. Here, for example, this looks good. And let's see. Yeah, this goes around perfectly here. And then I'm going to create a cut there. And next thing what I'm going to do is around the hip. There is maybe some good. I think this. And I'm selecting these edges by pressing shift down and going around this edge, and it's good. And because cutting was last operation what I did, I'm pressing G to repeat that operation. And now basically I have only the tail what I have to cut off. So basically if you have some horns or spike or fins like I have, you have to cut those as well off from the torso, because it will do create compressiones to the areas where we don't want it. So that's why it's vital that you cut those off. So seam there, and then as I said, I'm going to as well cut this fin of the shark guy off from the torso, and then cut. And now only thing what I'm going to bring into the texture area is the torso. So I'm changing my selection method to be UV, double clicking the torso, it's selected, and I bring it here. I'm going to move this inside of the mouth to that area. And for the torso I need few more seams to get it open nicely. As we can see, there is already seam where from we can unwrap, but to the sides we need one seam where from we can cut this off open, or where we can unwrap it. So changing selection method to be edge, and then I'm looking for a seam what I can make here, maybe to the side. It's good thing to make seam here to the side of the character, because most of the time the arms will hide the seam here. For example, if we have idle animation, if we have walking animation, the hands will be on top of the side of the character, and that will hide efficiently if we have some texture glitching there. So I'm starting from the seam here, and then I'm proceeding down, and I will connect this armpit seam to the hip seam like this, and then I'm creating a cut. And next thing what I'm going to do, I come here to 2D space, changing my selection method to the UV, double clicking the body to be active, and then I'm just pressing unfold, and it unfolds nicely to one big UV shell. And I'm going to actually maybe turn it like this and place it here like this. And the next thing where I'm proceeding is probably the shark's fin. I bring it here, and then I'm changing my selection method to the edge and selecting these seams here. I'm not going all the way around, and the thing is why I'm not going all the way around, I wanna keep this top part of the fin seamless, because that's maybe what we are going to see most. So the texture won't change, or the color won't change during this. And then I'm pressing cut, and let's see how it unfolds. Changing my selection method to the UV, double clicking this, and here again pressing unfold, and it looks nice. We can see even if there is some stretching on this area. How does it look? Yeah, it looks super neat. So again, I'm checking this UV distortion, and it looks decent. So no need to do any further operations for it. I'm just trying to match it here to this space. And then the next thing what I'm doing is the arms. And because this shark guy has additional fins here on hands, I think I will cut these arms and wrist to half, which is not maybe optimal way to cut hand, just half, because usually what I want to do is only one seam here what I can hide inside of the arm, or to the inner side of the arm. But now, because there is this additional feature, I just cut this from here, and I'm going all the way around the whole arm, and the hand part. Then I'm creating cut, so I'm not selecting the whole thing at once. I'm just going around here. And pressing G to repeat last operation. Selecting these edges here. And G again, so I get the seam. And from here, I select all these seams, I mean edges, and I come all the way up and pressing G, so I can have a super nice seam there. And then I'm going to bring my arms to the texture area. So I'm selecting, changing this to be UV, my selection method, pressing W, and now I have inner arms here. And I'm going to unfold these first. The thing what I want to do here is to save texture space. So I'm stacking these UV shells, which means that when we are texturing our shark character, the arms will be symmetrical or identical, but that means that we have to do less work with the arms and we have more time to work with our head, which will be our main feature for this character. So the stacking operation starts with turning off the symmetry, because now when I'm selecting one arm, the other is as well selected and I cannot move them individually. So turning off the symmetry, then double clicking this arm. I cannot use the rotate tool to get it same way with this one, so I coming here to the transform section of my UV toolkit, and here is the tool called flip, which is going to flip this vertically. And now you can see that they are same side, but because we created our projection from the perspective camera, this left side of our shark was more further away from the right side, so that's why the islands are different sized. And to get this corrected, under the flip tool is texel density tool. When we have selected some island or UV shell, we can get, if we press here, it says get average texel density from selected faces, and that's what we want to do. Now when I have selected this, arm here, I press get, and its texel density is 22.7860. And we have also the set button. Now I'm selecting this bigger island and then I'm just pressing set. Now they are same sized and I'm just then moving this on top of the other island, pressing E and matching these by I to be quite matching. Yeah, maybe a bit more rotation, and now they match quite nicely. Bit more rotation. Okay, now they are super neat there. And I saved a lot of texture base. I will move this arm or inner arms to be here. Maybe even a bit more closer. Maybe this side, so no. So this is like playing Tetris once again. And then the outer arms, I'm not turning symmetry on because I need to work without it in a second. So double clicking the island, coming here unfold, and same thing for this, unfolding it, rotating it, and then first thing to do here is to flip it again, and I can get the texel density, or actually I think I will use the same texel density what I had here. So I have it already to saved here, so I'm just pressing set, and then for this set, and now they are same texel density as the inner arms, which is great. And then I'm just matching these islands like here, bit more rotation. There is also a tool for stacking this island, but usually I like just do this by hand because the tool doesn't always work as I hope, or then I don't know how to use it properly. Let's rotate this one to be here, like this. Yeah, that's maybe the best spot for the outer arm. Now we have those super neatly there, and at this point I can save my work just to be sure if Maya crashes I have something saved. I'm turning again the symmetry on, object X, and the legs are the next thing what I'm going to work with. Changing my selection method to be edge, and then for the inner leg here I'm creating a seam because that's something what is not always visible when character is walking or doing stuff. So there we can hide our seam. Seam should be hide it whenever you can hide those. So I'm selecting everything until the ankle. Then I'm just double clicking this and creating a cut. And now I can come here to the 2D view, pressing mouse right and selecting UV, and then just unfold these, and I'm going to turn off the symmetry because I want to stack these as well. I'm going to use here same textile density what I had. So both of the islands I will set for this. Okay, that was already same side. And then, of course, another island I'm going to flip. And the stacking begins. And it went quite fast, quite nicely. And maybe I will fit this here maybe. Let's see. Nope. Maybe here I can left it, or okay, actually this down left corner will be perfect for this. So I'm laying out rest of the or the foot here, and then for the tail I'm preserving this area, and I think it will go nicely. So next thing, edge mode and turning on the symmetry, world X again, and then the thing what I want to do, I want to cut the bottom of the foot to be separate from the top of the foot. So first thing what I'm doing, I'm making the seam back here, and then I'm creating seam around the bottom of the foot like this. Maybe selecting that. And now it's super neatly there. And cutting it. And then to the UV. Unfolding it. And unfolding the bottom of the feet as well. And then I turning off symmetry again. And setting the textile density for all the islands to be this 22. Then I'm flipping the other part and then just E rotating it, W moving it, stacking these islands. Like this, saving this to here. And stacking. Like this. And saving it here. And then the last thing what we have still is the shark's tail. So I'm starting to do the seam here, the bottom side of the tail. Cutting everything half. Like from here. maybe all the way here. Cutting that, and then creating a cut. And maybe the next thing what I'm doing is that I'm cutting away of these side fins. And then cutting this to half like this, so they will open nicely. And then I'm going to just, oh, my symmetry wasn't on, so I will turn on my symmetry on world X, and then if I will select again these edges where I made a seam, it will select also seams from the other side, perfectly the same, and then a cut again. It doesn't do any damage to this side. And then UVs, double clicking the fin, moving that to the texture area and unfolding it. Then setting up here the texture space to be that. And I have to turn off the symmetry again. And then I'm going to flip this one. And now I can just fit these perfectly together. Like this. Now they are stacked and I will move them here. And then the next big thing is that one thing what I forgot to do is that I have to cut this fin off as well, otherwise there will be compression of texture what will appear. And then cut and UV selection and unfold. Maybe I can move this, or actually I'm going to just fit it here. Then I can do the first try of this unfold. Let's see. Okay, it's quite nicely there. Let's see. Oh, there is not much compression or stretching. So I'm checking. With this, I turned on the UV distortion and there is not much of it, so I can quite happily move this here. And let's see what is like this. And I just turning this around because I want to maximize the usage of texture space. So the thing what I might need to have to do is I just need to take these islands out from here. And I want to use the tracking selection here because if I'm just double clicking the island, I'm selecting only the other island, which ain't good. If I want to keep this stacked. And moving this outside. And then rotating this to be here. see if I can turn this actually to be here. Yep. Okay, and then I just unselect these few points of the other arm like this, and selecting the whole tail. Now I can scale it up a bit so it gets more texture space. This one here. This is not going to make much difference, but it's just nice to try to maximize the usage of the texture space. So I'm scaling these few things up to give them more texel density for the mouth as well, or the inner mouth, although it doesn't require as much. Then the arm. And the thing is here that we usually want to get areas which has similar color or materials close together, because we only have in this case, because we only have the shark's skin material, it doesn't make a big difference. But let's see, that can be put it right there and scaled up a bit. Then the bottom of the feet, it might actually come here nicely. Yeah, perfect. Then I have to stack these again. So something like this. And maybe there. And then the legs, I can scale those up a bit. Okay, that goes there quite nicely. These. Scaled up a bit. And maybe the shark's fin can be as well scaled up a bit. This can be turned like this. And then the one thing what we are still missing are the eyes. So I'm changing my shark to be in object mode, and the thing what I'm doing now is that I'm just pressing my spacebar down, going into create, polygon primitives and sphere with the selection window or options window. There is now 10 and 10 axis divisions. I'm going to increase these to be 16 and 16. And I have this create UVs already turned on. So I press create and I can see that I have UVs here. But currently the UVs are not so good because the eye is now, the seam is on eye's iris, and we don't want that there would be a seam, so we have to, first of all, I'm going to turn this as 90 degrees. So I'm opening my channel box and typing here 90 degrees. So I get like the poles of the sphere for my iris. And quick unwrap for the eyes, or how we can do it is that I'm actually not creating a seam. I'm going into face mode, and because we are never ever going to see these faces behind the eye here, we can safely rotate these around. Of course, if you have for example character uh, what you want that it changes its irises. So for example, our character has normal pupil and then like lizard pupil, then you need the whole sphere, because during the rigging you are going to create selection which will flip the whole sphere around, and then you can quite easily animate two different irises. But in this case, when we have only a normal one for this shark, I delete these, and now we can see that we have seam here, back here, like automatically. And then I'm selecting all the faces of the eye, pressing camera based, creation or projection, and then just unfolding this. And now we can see that we get this whole island or the whole cell, and there is no seams on the iris. What is my current goal? And now I'm just scaling this down to be something like this. And I'm leaving it there and changing this to the face selection and bringing this currently to its proper space. Going to modify it a bit, and let's see that it sits nicely for its place, maybe a bit too big still. And it doesn't matter if it's intersecting the mesh a bit. Okay. Going to the object mode and let's see. Yeah, it looks nice there. So now when we have it here, first of all, I'm coming here to the channel box, and then I'm pressing my mouse's right, and then I'm going to freeze all. So now translation is 0 and rotation is 0. Which means basically that if I select this and then I come here by pressing spacebar to the mesh and then mirror with options window. I'm just pressing mirror and it will do the mirroring. And now if we look these UVs, because we mirrored this object, these both eyes are already stacked. The one thing what we actually should do for the eyes, because those are one attraction point for our character, is that we are going to unstack the eyes. So that's when the eyes are unstacked, it's going to add little or nice variation if we are making different eyes, or the eyeballs, we are texturing those to be different, so it will give nice feature for our texture. And then I'm going back to the object mode, and as you remember, if I select both of the objects, I can get this or the UV is shown, and then I just want to go to the mesh and combine these together. And as you remember, when we are combining two meshes together, it creates history. What I can show you here in the outliner. So we have transform groups here, what we want to get rid of. So I'm going to the edit, delete by type, history, and now it's perfect. Now it's neat. Only thing what we have to do is to just fit these eyes to correct place. So I go to the UV selection, select both of the eyes, press R, scale this down, and let's see if there is a little bit more scaling down. And then I will fit this here and the other eye here. So I'm maximizing the texture space. Another option would be here or maybe here. It doesn't matter so much. Cool. At this point we should save because our character is now unwrapped and it has eyes and we are ready to proceed for the next stage.